Welcome to the High Vibe Moms Club, the podcast for ambitious women ready to ditch burnout, diet culture, and mom guilt so they can feel hot, healthy, and radiant from the inside out. I'm your host, Shannon, and this isn't just another wellness podcast, it's a movement. If you're ready to raise your vibe, reset your health, and step into your most confident self, you're in the right place. Today's guest is someone whose energy is just as radiant as her mission. I'm so honored to welcome Josie, the heart and soul behind the Divine Self, a beautiful space she created to help women reconnect with their intuition, awaken their inner power, and heal from the inside out. She's a mama, a coach, and the creator of the transformational 90-day journal that's helping women everywhere move from burnout to clarity and confidence. Hi, Josie. Okay, so for those of our listeners that are new to the Divine Self, what led you to this journey? And how did your own healing spark your mission?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and thank you for asking. This is something I'm super passionate about. So the divine self was created from my own anxiety and my own burnout in 2023. I was just doing everything I could to climb the corporate ladder, make as much money as I could. And I got laid off from my job that I was there for 6 years. But honestly, like it was a blessing
Mhm.
because I wanted to transition into a different job. So I got a remote job. I got a huge pay raise, and I thought like, I should be happy. Like I got everything that I wanted, but yet I'm still burnt out. And I realized that I wasn't living like to my purpose, to my fulfillment, to my strengths
Mhm.
even. My boss would just be like, do this, do this, do this, and I would do it. I thought it was my job. So I switched jobs only to find myself in the same situation, like burnout. I would come home
Yeah.
grumpy all the time, like snapping at my kids. And I know moms can relate to snapping at their kids because they're like, where the heck did that come from? It's just like things trigger us and we just snap. So yeah, it came to a point where I went to the doctor only to be prescribed anxiety pills. And I thought to myself, like, I just can't mask this with anxiety pills. Like, I have to go deeper within. And so I attended a coaching program, a soul purpose program. And through that program, like I really uncovered my purpose and like my mission, which is to help moms and let them know that there's so much more to life than working 9 to 5 and coming home and like snapping at your kids and not having a fulfilled relationship. Like my relationship with my husband wasn't good either. So yeah, that's where it came from. That's where it kind of
Okay.
birthed into this.
Okay, Josie, I want to go back just a little bit because that was huge. When you said, I realized that I didn't want to do the prescriptions, there's so many women who maybe are on anxiety medicine, depression medicine, all of these things. And you already have that kind of awareness to be like, no, 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 versus just accepting. Was there something that clicked inside of you where instead of accepting, you were like, okay, I know that these doctors mean well and they know what they're talking about, but it just doesn't feel right in my heart. Like there has to be something else.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a couple of things. And, I'll give a lot of props to my mom because my mom, she was always into natural healing, still very is like much so. Um, Growing up, and my husband too, he won't even take like headache medicine. He tries not to take like any pills at all. But I think with both of them just being like, the natural healing
Mhm.
and me knowing that it was only a band-aid to what I was feeling and not really diving deeper into the situation, I think that it was a combination of both, like the people that surrounded me and just knowing that it was something internal inside of me that I needed like to come out of my body rather than just masking it.
That's amazing. I know for me, I'm notorious for job hopping because in the engineering field, I would start to do something and then I'm like, nah, I don't like this. I'm bored. And so I would just keep going from one job to the next. Like the current job that I have is the longest one that I've stayed at. Most of them were anywhere from like 10 months to 3 years because I'm like, no, I don't like this. Next, 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 next. And it wasn't until doing the inner work that I was like, oh, maybe there's something a little bit deeper here.
Yeah, that's so true. I think a lot of us too, like, we don't like we know our strengths, but we don't know how to apply it in a job. And I think that's where it can you can feel like you're not appreciated, you can feel like you're not playing to your strengths. But
Mhm,
I also think that once you like hone in on your strengths and what you're really good at and what you're passionate about too, as
mhm,
long as you like communicate that, I think to your manager and people around you or incorporate that in a job, I think it's easier to stay in it. And I say that because I'm in accounting, and accounting is very like deadline based, like kind of mundane tasks. But I know I'm like you, Shannon. Like I get bored really easily. I need a challenge, and so I know I need to work on projects at whatever job that I'm in. So when I
mhm,
was like looking for another job, I'm like, are there projects I can work on? I need to know that my manager is going to show me um, other tasks instead of like what I'm required to do on my daily basis. And so
mhm.
I think that helped me a lot too, is just knowing that and bringing that into my job. Um, so yeah, and it is the inner work, like you said, it totally is. So I'm glad that like you realize that. I'm curious how that has helped you in your current position.
It has actually, to be honest, I try to focus more on like what you said, what you're good at. Before, it was just like that masculine energy of like achieve, 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 do, do, do. And then now I'm realizing with journaling, so what do I actually enjoy about my job so it doesn't feel so mundane or I hit that burnout? And it's teaching people. So I'm a mentor and I love helping other engineers discover their potential. So, what they're great at, and maybe some tasks that they're not so great at, and helping them realize what things can be delegated to somebody else that does it even better. Instead of spinning their wheels, getting frustrated because it's not their zone of genius.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, and it's great that you can bring that into, your job. You think of like engineering, it's the same thing, but as long as you like know what you like to do, I think it's a little bit easier on how to incorporate it in your job. And it's not always like daily where you're going to do those things, but at least you like know that you have to do it either like weekly or monthly or something like that.
Mhm. Okay. So, for those women who know maybe that they absolutely love their job, or they're on the other end of the spectrum where they hate it, or maybe they're even stay at home mamas and just with their kids all day, which takes a whole new level of patience, especially for those of us on summer break right now. Actually, what it means for you and how do other women start embodying their divine self so they can start feeling more connected versus frustrated and even hit that burnout.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so I totally relate to having a busy schedule, along with working a full-time job. I have three kids. They are much older now. They're 16, 15, and 11. On top of that, I started my own business. And, we have so much stuff going on, laundries, doctor's appointments, like it just doesn't stop. So I totally get it. And when I was at my highest point of like anxiety and burnout, I was running my to-do list like in my head. I was like, okay, I need to go to Costco. I need to do this deadline for my job. I need to do laundry. Yeah, it's like, and it was just every day, it was like a list in my head. And I'm like, my to-do list is running me instead of like me owning my life. And I'm like, something has to change. And through that, I created Awaken to the Divine Self Journal, which really connects with your purpose and most of all, your fulfillment in life. And so instead of having your to-do list, it's really focused on setting intention for the week and for the day. If your intention is like, okay, I really need to go to Costco today, that is just one thing that you're doing that day. There's things in the journal that remind you to give yourself grace. Like every day you celebrate a win, every day you practice gratitude, but at least you're focusing on one thing for that day. And if you're running a business, it's like, okay, my intention for this day or for this week is to record my next episode for my podcast. So your mind isn't consumed by all the things you have to do, but it's really coming from your heart of what you really want to do and what you're really passionate about. Because at the end of the day, like that is what makes you happy. And that is practicing self care for yourself. And maybe it's something as simple as like, I just want to take a bath today. Like, I just want to give myself 15 minutes or even 5 minutes and take a bath today. Like, that is super important. And you can write that down. And then it doesn't like overwhelm your brain. I am an overthinker. So I know that when I fill my mind with all this clutter, I have zero room for creativity. I have zero room to practice self care. I almost have zero room for patience too, to be quite honest with you. And so as long as I like clear my head and give myself that one intention, then I can bring creativity into my life and intention setting and fulfillment. So I would say above most of all, it's just that intention for fulfillment.
Yes, Josie, I love that. I know I am so guilty of a checklist. Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
All the things I need to get done today. Um, yeah, I always plan it out sometimes a week ahead. And I'm like, okay, here's this, got to get done this. And I need to just have an intention of the day. I want to get some, for example, some movement in today. I want to nourish my body and I want to do a meditation. And it doesn't matter what time it falls. Like I used to literally, and sometimes do at work, have an order of precedence that I'm like, okay, this one happens first, this one happens second, this one happens third. And then if it doesn't happen that day, then I move it on to the next day. And I actually do teach that to the other engineers because this is great for work because you want to make sure that you get the most important items done each day. And especially, I know we all kind of do it. The thing that's most important, we kind of keep kicking it back because we know that it's usually the most tedious or the most difficult. Yeah. Um, I definitely still do this in engineering, but in my personal life, I try to set an intention so it's less stress, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, when we lay our head down at night, I want to feel fulfilled versus the anxiety and stress of what did I not do today? And what do I have to do the next day? So I guess it's kind of finding that balance. I want to be a good employee, but I also want to be happy and not anxious all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things that come to mind. And don't get me wrong, I create to-do lists sometimes now too. I just realized before it was ruining my life. sorry, not ruining, run running my life.
Yeah.
But in the journal, like I do have time blocking because sometimes that works for women, and that did work for me in the past, to be quite honest. Now it doesn't, but there was a time where time blocking like really helped me. So there is that component in there too for women that do like, to know where their time is going. And there is something important to say about that as well. I was gonna say, oh, something else about when you mentioned like delegating or doing the important things. The important things are obviously like top of list, but sometimes we don't we put it like on the back burner. And you mentioned, I think, delegation, and that's something that I really had to learn. Communication, delegation, asking for support, like those things are so crucial to giving yourself more time in the day. And if that's something that you like, for me, it was really hard to overcome. It'll keep repeating itself in your life. Like something will come up and you'll just be like at your wits' end and be like, oh, why am I doing so much? Or what I hear a lot is like, I have to work hard for money, or I have to do it myself because this other person won't do it as good as I do. And that's a story we're telling ourselves. And it's an untrue story. I can understand why in certain circumstances we don't believe it's true, but there are other people that want to help us that do it better than us, but it's up to us to like actually really put that into play. So I'm glad that you mentioned delegation, and which go hand in hand with asking for support.
Yes. Okay. So you mentioned money. I know as moms, anybody, there's always that financial aspect of it that is so important. It's part of holistically who we are. If you're stressed financially, then it could be putting a burden on other parts of the relationship and the household. So I kind of want to talk about something that I believe I saw on your Instagram about money as energy and kind of like rewiring worthiness. Do you have a certain like moment or anything that help you kind of shift out of the scarcity into that abundance?
It's so interesting. I still work on that. That is like my number one thing that I'm trying to learn. So I have a couple of things. And it's so interesting because like I make good money. However, my story is I always tell myself like there's not enough. There's not
Mhm.
enough money to do X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. And what has really helped me in the past, besides taking like being in a community where they talk about abundance and abundance of not only money, but like an abundance mindset. Um, and that is being like grateful and having the gratitude. Because when you think about the things that you don't have in life, then that's again just a daily story you're telling yourself. And you'll always find things that you don't have or lack of money, and you'll never get yourself ahead of the game. So when you think about like, oh my gosh, like I went through the drive-through a couple weeks ago, and this has never happened. The guy gave me like a free Starbucks. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you for giving me like this free Starbucks, or thank you for this penny on the ground that I found, or thank you, mom, for dropping off food at the house, or whatever, however small it is, the more you realize the good things that are going in your life, I promise you, like the more abundance will show up. And I can talk about the abundance that has happened for me. I was in a couple different programs trying to change my mindset from like scarcity to abundance. And through that, I think that was like the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Crazy things has happened. Like I had $30,000 of student loans forgiven. Yeah, crazy stuff. I got rear-ended. Like it wasn't anything major, but the insurance company sent me like $2,500, which I didn't even ask for. So it's like these little things keep happening in my life to show me that, A, like my story would be money has to come from my job. to show me that money doesn't have to come from your job. Like it can come from infinite sources. And yes, while $30,000 isn't actually cash given to me, that's $30,000 like I don't have to pay back. So when you think about money as like energy, it can come from so many different sources. And it's hard to like put it into words, but just as an example, like, the student loans being forgiven, or like the check that was sent to me. I'm trying to think of some other like crazy examples. I swear one just happened to me the other day, but it'll come to me as we talk about it. But yeah, honestly, like that's still something that I'm still focusing on,
Mhm.
and realizing that if there's something in my life that's stuck, whether it's relationships or something else, if I'm not giving like my love and my attention to or spending time with, then it's going to block other areas of my life, like money.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I loved how you mentioned like your mom dropping off food or something. There are so many things that people want to do to help. And when we say, "Oh no, thank you, I'm good," you're literally like throwing a gift back in their face.
Yeah.
Or even I'm guilty. I have been better lately about just saying thank you. Like if somebody says, "Oh, I love your blouse," I want to say something like, "Oh, I got it on Amazon. It's only $10," or "Oh, I just got it at Ross." But you're literally immediately diminishing it when a gift to them is just saying thank you back. It makes them feel good instead of you just being like, "No, no, 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 no." So it's that act of receiving. And so, what you mentioned, receiving in other areas of your life, it's also going to help with abundance everywhere, not just dollar wise, but with joy and love and all of the things.
Yeah, that's so true. And you mentioned earlier about like masculine energy. I think that's something why it keeps showing up in my life, because I grew up the same way. It's like I have to do this. Everything relies on me. If it's got to be, it's up to me type motto.
Money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard to earn money.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, trying to change the way you grew up and the way you have thought about. I'm 43. So for the past like 40 years, it's it's not going to change overnight, and that's why you have to give yourself like grace and love. But yeah, being open to receiving and bringing that feminine energy is like so important. So
Mm.
I totally agree with you on that.
But really quick, because you talked about giving yourself grace, and you exude so much compassion and grace, and that's why I really wanted to connect with you. And on the days when we have that self-doubt or overwhelm, do you have any mantras, affirmations, or any sort of reminders that can help another mama dealing with this kind of stuff?
I do a couple of things. I'm huge into meditation. There's a free meditation tool called Insight Timer. It's an app. And honestly, like you can do a 3-minute meditation to, however long that you want. I listened to a 3-minute meditation the other day, and it was so, so powerful. And, as moms, we think like, oh, what's 3 or 5 minutes going to do for me? Whether it's meditation, whether it's working out,
Mhm.
it can make a huge, huge impact. So I so definitely meditation is my go-to. I also have affirmations hanging on my mirror. Um,
Okay.
Mine specifically are around money. Um, and with those affirmations, if your audience is into tapping, like there's different like tapping points or trigger points on your body where you can tap and do the affirmations as well. Um, when you're super overwhelmed and anxious, I think my number one go-to to feel the instant release is like tapping on my heart and just saying like I am worthy. I am worthy, I am safe. And just completing that until, or just doing that until you actually feel your body like release, even just 5%. I think that is super powerful, like in the moment. I was also going to say that community has been a huge part of my journey ever since like I had really bad anxiety, from the coaching program to business programs to abundance programs. And there's free programs out there and women that want to support you, like podcasts like yours. I listen to your podcast and I'm like, oh my God, I got so much out of your first 3 episodes. It's like, yeah, it's things at our fingertips, and being involved in community, I think, is super important too, to help us not stay in that overwhelmed state and really give back to ourselves, because it is connecting with our divine inner wisdom and coming back to who we truly are. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. It's always a work in progress. It's not like you've reached the peak and you're like, I feel so abundant and healthy and all the things.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, well, now everything is great. And I am grateful for where I'm at, but can it get even better? And then maybe, like you said, a car accident or something, and you're like, why is this happening to me? And then it's kind of getting in that mindset of, okay, not why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me? Where's the lesson? Which isn't always easy. There's a lot of times where something happens and you're like, I get so frustrated. And it's like, no, you have to try to say, okay, how is this a gift? How is this happening for me and not to me? And again, how you mentioned in the beginning, you're running your life and your life isn't running you. It's like everything is so interconnected and tied in. And sometimes I get lost in the to do list and overwhelmed that it's hard to come back home to yourself. So I love that, just, when you said the tapping on your chest when the overwhelm feeling sets in, and just, I am worthy, I am safe. Whatever just resonates. That's so, so great.
Yeah. And I love the work that you're doing too, because yes, like you focus on health and wellness, but you also focus on mind, body, and soul. And I love that you say that it's interconnected, because it totally is. And I think that's one thing that, sometimes is missing from different like programs you're in or people that you talk to. They're so focused on their like one little aspect of life. But especially with health and wellness, it's like, if you want to stay healthy and not have diseases, like, you do need to focus on, okay, like, why are you in this position, or why do you have pain, or why are your habits not where they need to be, and focus on the person as a whole. So I love that you focus on that too.
And that's one thing I'm navigating too. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, it's just about nutrition. And I'm like, no, in order to be healthy, it's about everything. It's your lifestyle, it's who you are. You can't just focus on one aspect, because all the other things will unravel real fast.
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, another thing I want to talk about is, we kind of touched on this, but the nervous system and the fight or flight. And I know you've kind of talked about tapping and how that's helped. Is there anything for women who are kind of now realizing, like, oh, what is my nervous system? What is fight or flight? Like, is that what I'm feeling? Because we're stuck in the never ending go, 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 go. There could be some women questioning everything essentially at this point. So, how can she start to navigate some of those identity shifts of realizing, you know, who am I really? Like you said, I'm not just a mom. I want to maybe enjoy things that I think is my struggle, is figuring out, like you said, my purpose, what actually does bring me joy, because I get so caught up in the everyday of what needs to be done and not what I actually want to enjoy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like truly living your purpose and knowing like what really makes you happy or purposeful or fulfilled. I think people think that there's one thing that defines their purpose or fulfillment,
Mhm.
and that's not true. There are we and you kind of touched on this a little bit. We all go through life and we grow, or sometimes we go through life and we get stuck.
Mhm.
But we do come out of that stuckness, and in that we do grow as a person. And so our purpose and our fulfillment changes as we change. I think the best piece of advice that a coach gave me before is she's a soul purpose coach, is like date yourself. Like pretend you're dating yourself. Like really get to know what makes you happy and fulfills you. And if you don't know, try new things. And then you'll know like, oh my gosh, like this is what really makes me happy or really fulfills me. And maybe that fulfillment lasts 6 months and then it'll change.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. And I know that like going through the program, I was like, well, do I want to create a journal to help women like write down their thoughts and, understand their subconscious patterns? Or do I want to be a meditation teacher because I'm really into meditation too? And I don't think there was any like right answer. I think they both would have led me to fulfillment. And the only reason I created a journal was because I had a coach who helped me see what was what was already inside me. And all that was talking through it. She's like, Josie, when you talk about the journal, your face lights up, like you get so excited. She's like, I didn't see that when you were talking about being a meditation teacher. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna create a journal. And there's no like creating a journal is so like I don't think people really grow up being like, oh, I'm gonna create a journal. It was just
Yeah.
a path that I took. So giving yourself grace and knowing that it's not a title, it's not like a specific task, it's not like one thing, just doing what makes you happy or trying to figure out like what really fulfills you and keep doing that and then knowing that it's going to change. Like it's totally going to change.
Yes, I love that. I think we get so caught up in this so early. What do you want to be when you grow up? You're always asked when you're a kid, and all the time. I was like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a professional singer. I want to be a dancer? And then you're like, oh no, I need to make more money. How can I make money? And then it's kind of like, for my footsteps was engineering. That's a nice stable job. And it's like, okay, great. And as you mentioned, it could change and it could shift and you could pivot. And that's fine too. And we get so caught up like, okay, this is the career that we chose. We need to stick with it for the next 30 or 40 years. And then when we retire, then we can enjoy our lives. And it's like, no. How can we enjoy our lives right here, right now? Even if you're not in the job of your dreams, maybe you're working on that. It's a side hustle or something of that sort. Do you have any advice for that, for those mamas? Like, how can they start incorporating a little bit of joy every single day so it doesn't feel as overwhelming or like they're stuck or stressed?
Yeah, it's hard to say every day. The thing that came to mind while you were talking is like people, people enjoy different things. Like I enjoy taking a walk along the bay and the beach every day. Like I need to see the water. And so for me, that works. I know people that like to go on hikes. So let's say for example you're a hiking person, you find this group like on meetup.com, if that's still a thing, I don't even know, or like Eventbrite. I feel like Eventbrite's really popular, and you find this group and you go on hiking trips with them because it's something that you love to do. What people don't realize is people are like they're true blessings to you. They bring so many opportunities that you would never have imagined. So let's say you go on this hiking trip and or a day hike and you meet this person and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I just found a job that I love and they're looking for somebody who does X, Y, and Z." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. That would be my dream job." And that connection was built
Amazing.
all because you went hiking. So it's
Yeah.
not like the act of, it may not be the act of like what you're doing, but who's coming into your life and the new opportunities that are coming to you because you're going out there and doing what you love. So I would just say, like, don't be so focused on the act of like doing the thing, but know that more opportunities will come to you if you have that energy that's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing what I love. I'm talking to people. And maybe you're an introvert like me and like that's not your thing. Although I can't tell you, and this is why I say people come, like blessings come through people. It's because all of my opportunities in life, through the journal, through the business, through like everything, came through people that I have met. And it's like pinpointing it back to like, oh my gosh, I met this person who brought me this opportunity. So I hope that makes sense.
Amazing. Like, literally, my heart just fluttered with excitement.
Good, good, yay.
I'm like, I love all of this. Yes. Yay! Okay, so as we wrap up, how can people connect with you? Do you have any sort of project that you're excited about, that you're working on? I know you're really big on community. How can our listeners connect with you, Josie?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. I'm really big on my journal. I didn't talk about this, but the journal really helps you uncover your subconscious patterns so you can start living a life that you want to. And there's a couple different like journal prompts in there that I took from my soul purpose coaching program, through my therapy sessions, through
Amazing.
previous journals, and I lumped it like all into one, but not so it's overwhelming. Like you can take bits and pieces of what calls to you. Um, but really the most important thing, like as a mom, when you're just going through your day-to-day life, is uncovering like what your triggers are, like what sets you off. For me, it was the laundry. Every time I would do laundry, I would get so mad and I would snap at the kids. And through journaling, which is in there, it's like, okay, what is the feeling that came up? I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling mad. And then naming those feelings, like why are you feeling this way? What are your automatic thoughts that you're telling yourself as to this specific situation? And what I was telling myself was, nobody ever helps me. I don't get support. And then asking yourself, like, is that true? And usually, sometimes it is true, but usually we make up these stories where it's not true. And I uncovered that no, it wasn't true. Like, if I asked for support, they would totally help me. Like my kids are amazing, my husband's amazing, but I would just wait until it piled up and then I would get frustrated. But if I actually had like, hey, on Sundays, you guys got to do this, or my husband, I told him, like, you got to do your own laundry because I can't do it anymore. So it's like, yeah, setting those boundaries is important too. And so, reframing your thoughts. So then moving forward, you have a positive outlook on life instead of just running. I was in a rat race, like most of us are, like Groundhog's Day, just frustrated about. Usually it's the same thing. Sometimes it's a combination of both. So, anyways, I'm really passionate about my journal and it helping women uncover their subconscious thought patterns so they can start living a life that they truly desire and that's meant for them, because there's so much more to life than just, I love my kids, but just raising your kids, going to
Yeah.
your full-time job, fighting with your husband. Like mine and Josh's relationships is so much better than what it used to
Yeah.
be. So That is on my website. My website is The Divine Self by Josie Anderson. Uh, and my Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is also The Divine Self by Josie. So it's what I'm really passionate about.
Yay! Perfect. I will link all of that in the show notes. And I know that we didn't talk more about the subconscious mind. And I'm so excited for our listeners to find you and to talk more about that because a lot of journaling and the coaching I've done as well has been so helpful. And I know working with a coach is great for accountability, but the first step is really taking a deep dive with yourself because working with a coach is great, but you know you better than anybody else. So if you can kind of uncover some of those patterns and then maybe reach out to a coach to help you build and grow from there. But yeah, so amazing. I'm so happy that you were with us today, Josie. I have so many great takeaways, and I'm sure our listeners did as well, especially how healing from burnout is about literally tapping into that safety of who you really are.
Oh, thank you so much, Shannon. I loved being on here and yeah, just everything that you're doing as well. So happy to connect with you and you're doing great stuff and you have amazing listeners too that can get a lot out of this. So keep doing what you're doing for sure.
Thank you so much.